2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
How do I not depend on my relationship or my relationship status to feel like I'm enough? What's up, you guys? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Tyler. We're brothers.
We're therapists.
We're not afraid of your questions.
So bring it.
That's an awesome question. We've got an awesome guest today. And before we get into the guest and the question, we're just going to read our review. This comes from Bike Rise. It says, "Love the brotherly love. I love your stories. Your family sounds nuts in a good way. You guys do a good job helping me open my mind to more than just my own perspective. It's definitely helped me in my relationships with other people. Pretty cool that you're both therapists and doing a podcast together as brothers." Thank you, Bike Rise.
That's awesome. And yes, our family was known as the crazy family in the neighborhood. So I don't know how we ended up being therapists, but here we are.
I think our whole neighborhood can concur with that. From what I understand, that all the neighborhood kids that we grew up with got together about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, and they were sitting around just doing a reunion of all the kids that were in the neighborhood that we grew up with. And none of us were there, but all it was stories about the Patrick boys and what they did in the neighborhood.
Yeah. So maybe we're therapists because we have some making up to do.
Maybe that's true. I've got a lot of making up to do for sure.
But anyways, let's get in with Bob here. And if you could just give us a little bit of your background, introduce yourself, and tell us why you're here, and then ask us the question. So Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be on. And I hope what I have to say, or I hope this reaches someone that is struggling with the same thing that I am. I don't know specifically what kind of background you're looking for. If you're looking for what I've been going through recently, or
yeah.
I've just ever since I was a kid, I wanted a girlfriend. I always had stress about, who I would marry one day. It's been on my mind since I was about 4. And then the growing up in, middle school and high school, it was very difficult for me. I was behind everybody else. I was homeschooled, and social normality was foreign to me, and I was very much immature and struggled with relationships my entire life. And only recently come out and admitted to myself and very few people that I am in fact a sex addict, and just been trying to learn more about that and how I can lead a more healthy, normal life and get control over the compulsion, which is what we narrowed down as to the question I'm asking is, how do I deal with this never-ending compulsion to marry, to settle down, to find a partner to share my life with, and not be so crippled and broken when that doesn't happen, or it doesn't go my way, or life hasn't worked out the way that I never expected it to, but just hasn't really gone my way, so to speak. So,
Bob, can I ask you a question to just kind of dig down a little bit here and see what's going on? My question is you talk about, from a really young age, really focusing on getting married, getting a relationship. And then you talk about how now you're struggling with some sex addiction. To me, it's not a surprise. It's quite common. My question for you is, what are you trying to get from a woman or from the partner? Like, what are you trying to get out of the sex addiction, either the women that you're lusting after or out of your relationships? What void are you seeking to fill there?
well, I always had it as fulfilling my selfish needs, very young, in my 20s. That was the goal, just, sex, drugs, and party. But to give you a little more background, when my son was born, my life changed, my priorities changed. I'm a father, and I tried to make things work with his mother, and it didn't work, and we've been separated, and I lost my family because of that. And so I have been, I think, I haven't seen a therapist, but it's pretty apparent that I have been trying to replace her and put that family back together that I lost. It can be shallow at times, but I think deep down, I've been working at looking for a relationship that's going to turn into a marriage, a partnership, someone to have kids with. These are the things that I want in life. And there's, I don't want to say there's more pressure, but there is a lot of pressure being single, 32, and a single dad, especially when his mother is in a relationship. She has someone, and they get to be the family that I wanted. So.
Right. Do you have a question, Tyler?
Bob, yeah, I just want to say, Bob, I can hear it almost in your voice. I can hear the ache that's there. I can hear the pain that's there. It sounds like you've been through some pretty challenging things, and I just want to acknowledge that of course anybody who's been through those things would feel those ways that you're feeling. I'm wondering, just kind of follow up on what Brandon was asking, was from an early age, what did the approval of the opposite sex do for you or mean to you from the time you were a boy all the way up until your current situation right now? What does it mean about you or to you or for you?
It's just this never-ending desire. It's always on my mind. It's always like, I wouldn't say I'm a very romantic person, but I'm always, even, I don't know how to answer that, honestly. It's just something I've always been searching for, and I don't know how to stop.
Let me ask you kind of from another angle here.
Okay.
It sounds like recently that you've been through some hard things with your relationship and with with your ex moving on and things like that. When you get rejected by women, or when you feel like women don't want you, how does that feel to you?
It's not so much the rejection because, as I said, I'm 30 years old, so I've been doing this for a while.
Okay.
You can get rejected so easily. It's more the pain of when someone says they love you, they care about you, but then they turn into a completely different person. And
Right. So it's like they're saying that they care, they're saying that they love you, but then in the end, like they're
they
not
just they
showing,
just
they're not
leave.
showing up for you. They
Yeah,
leave.
or they just
Yeah.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know, when you talk about sex addiction, that fills a void for you, right? It takes care of something. Now, there's the sexual side of it, absolutely.
Yeah.
But so one thing that me and Tyler both know is that sex addiction isn't really very much about sex. Sex addiction is about something deeper,
Hmm.
and usually, well, not usually, every single time I've worked with a sex addict, and I've worked with a lot of them, they're seeking something, and they're trying to use that pornography or that lust or whatever it is in order to feel some sense of okayness, some sense of healthy masculinity, or understanding who they are, or purpose in life, whatever it is, and they try to consume a woman in order to fill that need. And so that's what we're trying to get at here is, as you talk about, man, I want that in my life, I want a relationship, and then also there's this sex addiction going on. What I'm wondering, and I imagine Tyler too, is okay, why does that getting a relationship, or experiencing that lust, why does it need to be there in order for you to feel okay about yourself, in order for you to feel that sense of okayness, right?
Um, the best I can think of is I can tell you, um, going through adolescence, transitioning from being a child to puberty was very difficult for me. And as I stated, the social anxiety and not being like everyone else always kind of plagued me mentally. Like, it took me years to figure out why I was different from everyone else. And just the fact that I have these normal desires, but I've found that my my sexual, I want to say, appetite, or my sexual, like, is much higher than most normal people. And um I just, everyone wants these desires to be fulfilled. You want a partner that you can share your fantasies with. Um, that should be all normal things. But when you're craving that and you want the romance, you want the sex, you want the whole package, you want the family, I'm a big movie person. So maybe that's a lot of the problems. I grew up, homeschooled, watching a lot of TV, but a lot of people in the world, they want the Hollywood romance. They want the boy meets girl, the girl next door. I wanted all of that, and the fact that I couldn't ever get it the same way that everyone else did, and I kept getting friend zoned, and I kept getting all these women that would care about me, and, well, girls, I should say girls. I'm sorry, but they'd care about me and they'd be friends with me, or they'd use me for whatever reason. And then, why can't we not be friends? Why can't we take the next step? I care about you, you care about me. And it kept going until finally I just searched, you ask 10 women to go on a date with you, chances are one of the 10 is going to say yes. And that's the PG version of it. But eventually I broke through the shy shell or whatever, and I came out, and then I just, I just kept going at it to just find one that was going to stick. You know, I just kept trying to rectify that, you know, all that rejection, I guess.
Okay, but Bob, can I just speak a few things here to see what fits? And you just tell me how much of this fits, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, so we as human beings, we are born with an innate need for connection where we want to feel safe in a relationship. We want to know that we're important. We want to know that we're valued and that we're loved. And that's just kind of built into us from the very beginning. And as we grow, we have certain experiences, and it sounds like you just alluded to some of those as in young adolescence, where we realize that maybe there's something about us that might not quite be normal or right, or we feel judged by others, or we get rejected by others, or we have life experiences, whether that's through abuse or neglect or abandonment or other things that sometimes go against everything that we're built into to want to be connected. And in those moments, we start to have questions. We start to wonder if we're actually really worthy of love and belonging. We start to wonder if people could actually love us in our current state. We are. And then as we grow, and this is really true for men especially, like you, Bob, and like me, as we grow, we start looking for ways to start filling the void and answering the question that we have. And the question that comes up is, do I really have what it takes? Am I enough? And
Yes.
the natural place for us to turn is to girls and women first. And because we're drawn there, we have those natural drives, and the world feeds us all sorts of things. The media you talked about, those movies that send us, they basically feed us hook, line, and sinker, and then we start finding pornography, and that pornography allows us to fantasize about the fact that somebody could love me in the way that I am, and then eventually I'm pursuing the answer to a question of am I enough? I'm taking that to the women in my life, and I'm taking that and saying, here, show me that I'm enough, be with me, let's have the dream together, this, that, and the other. And when it doesn't pan out, it's not just like, oh, bummer, that wasn't the right fit. It's like, oh, more proof. I'm unlovable. I'm never going to have what it takes. I don't measure up. And now I'm stuck in this perpetual cycle where I'm continually chasing an answer to the question in a place that I don't know that any woman could actually ever answer that fully, because it was never really about whoever the woman is of the moment. It's about the fact that I've got a wounded heart, that I've experienced some things in my life that have fed me a belief that says I'm not enough, that I need to figure out how to address. What do you think about that? Does that make sense?
I think you just summed up my whole life.
Yeah.
It's a hard road to hoe.
Sounds really accurate.
But okay, Bob. So I want to jump in here and say, yeah, that is accurate. And here's the thing: if going to women and going to relationships and trying to get the question answered, am I okay? Am I enough? You go there, and you're not really, you're kind of failing trying to get the answer there, right?
Yeah.
You know, like you're getting rejected, or you know, the pornography doesn't feel good. It doesn't help you feel good. You know, it does short term, but it's not working. You're not getting that answer there. Are you okay as you are? Are you enough? So my question to you, Bob, is how do you find that answer? What else can you do other than hope for a relationship or hope for a woman to love you, to answer all those questions?
I don't know how to answer that.
If you knew the answer, you'd probably be doing it, right?
Well, you know, I struggle with my walk of faith a lot, and you know, it kind of comes and goes. And what I think I was talking about in the messenger is like I'll get a handle or control, or I'll listen to a message, sermon about, you know, your battle plan of porn, and I managed to quit for a good while, and figured out that was in fact what was affecting me emotionally and physically as well. It's bad for your physical health to drain your body of the nutrients and minerals so frequently without giving yourself rest to recover. And so I do know that I'll admit I am overweight now. I'm 330 pounds. So I will admit that the answer in all of life is to be healthy, healthy body, healthy mind. But it's like, I know that eating a whole box of cookies is bad for me, but darn if it doesn't taste incredible. Or
But
like
okay, but
like
Bob, I want to ask you, if you had
yeah,
a six pack, and so that six pack, it brought you a couple things. One, the ladies just loved it; they wanted you, and two, like you were physically fit, like you were healthy. If you had that six pack, would that answer your question that you're okay and that you're enough?
no, because then I wouldn't trust that they wanted me for my personality, if that makes sense. Like
Okay.
I've always understood that the shallowness of that aspect.
So getting physically fit alone, that like, so working hard enough, making enough money, getting in good enough shape, looking like this perfect specimen of a life form, whatever, that still won't answer your question that I am that I am okay, that I am enough. Okay. So,
No,
okay.
but no, but I'd probably have more longer lasting relationships, or someone would take more of a chance on me if I was all put together like that.
If you were all put together like that out of shame, then you still would not sustain relationships very well.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I just said?
Yeah. Well,
So if you're 330 pounds, or if you're like you're built like the Rock, if underneath there's this corrosive shame that says I'm broken, I'm not enough, I'm gonna get rejected in the end, then you're probably gonna get rejected in the end.
right.
Right. We still got to get to the root of this. We still got to get to the answer of how do you start to really feel and know and get that question answered that I am okay, independent of women, independent of money, independent of six packs, right? So, Tyler, any thoughts?
Yeah, as you're talking, Brandon, this is, and you're using the example of the six pack thing. It's like, well, here's a thought that I'm having. You said if you're pursuing a six pack from a place of shame, at the end of the day, that won't be enough because the question won't be answered, right?
Right.
I think sometimes we put those things in the wrong order. And if we were pursuing a sense of who we actually were, and we were coming to a place, and call it a knowledge of the actual truth of our value, let's just start broad, our value as a living, breathing human being. That value alone, if we were in touch with that emotionally, if we had an emotional touch with that, that would push us to do things like get a six pack. But
Yes.
but when it's done in that order, now I'm showing up knowing who I am and treating myself as such. That energy then carries through, and it's going to attract things and people into my life that want to value those things that I already value in myself.
Right.
And so we live in a world where we're constantly chasing this will make me happy, or when I get this will make me happy. It's like, no, I need to learn how to figure out how to become content with myself. I need to learn how to value who I am, my intrinsic natural value, and come to an understanding of truly who I am. And then I can work outwardly from there, and it's going to produce results in my life that are things like six packs and things like money and long lasting relationships and close connections with other people, because at the end of the day, it allows me room to go and take risks in this world, knowing that I'm going to be okay with myself if and when some of those things fail.
Okay, but the question is how do you get to that place that you start to do those things, right? So, and I think we can come back to that in a second. Bob, I want to ask you. You say you watch a lot of movies.
Yes.
Do you watch any chick flicks?
You know what?
Will you admit that if you do?
I'm not chick flicks. I did grow up with a mom and a sister, so I have watched more than I would like to admit, but I'm more of a rom-com kind of guy,
Okay, yeah.
romantic comedy. So
Okay, so
I,
like in a rom-com, what's kind of the attributes of the guy in that show? Like the guy, basically they try to put the guy that every woman wants, right? In a romantic comedy. What is he like? The
it's
star
not,
of that show.
it's, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Romantic comedies are guys like Ben Stiller, kind of the awkward guy. Um, the type you're talking about is like a Channing Tatum
Yeah,
movie.
I'm talking
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey here, right?
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
so yeah. What am I trying to get at here, Bob? What do
Um,
you think I'm trying to get at?
yeah, the guy who's slightly damaged, but yet he looks good and he's got his stuff together. He knows what he wants and he knows what he wants to do. That sort of type of guy, But
Yeah.
even though he's slightly flawed, that's still something they can work around.
Yeah. So they show his vulnerability. He's a vulnerable human being with a soft
Right.
side, right? But
Right.
deep down, there's this inner confidence and this trust that they have within themselves. So they're always kind of a little bit witty. They're very masculine in understanding who they are, and so it's coming back to what Tyler was saying earlier, is if you show up, Bob, if you show up desperate to have a woman want you, it's like you really need her to want you. I need you to fulfill me. I need a girlfriend. I need a wife. Is that type of guy?
No.
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 Um, and will if you show up in desperation, in kind of a need to consume a woman, what type of women will you attract?
Yeah, if you go looking for something, you're gonna find it, but it's not gonna be like you're gonna be looking in all the wrong places,
Yeah.
and that's for me that's Facebook, it's the dating apps, and just uh, over this quarantine, it's been Instagram. I did recently discovered Instagram, and kind of wish I hadn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's been some of the struggles for me. But what made it worse was the loneliness from quarantine was what triggered that. Um, I was on the edge of on the verge of losing everything I had worked for, um, not just because of the virus, but other unfortunate circumstances. And and most recently, uh, I was in a situation where my heart was just completely broken, and now I just haven't. I'm really taking longer than I should to recover from it, and it's affecting my personal life. So
Bob, is it possible for you to, I mean, you say you're 330 pounds, your heart is broken. Sounds like you're in a really tough place in life right now. Is it possible for you to to go from where you're at, to go to that place where you have confidence and trust in yourself and love for yourself? Is it possible to get there?
I would hope so, but I've got to overcome that feeling you guys were talking about of not being good enough, and that's
Bob, I'm going to give you a little bit of an answer to the question here. I want you to listen closely. You don't need to become Matthew McConaughey or even Ben Stiller. You need to be you, and all of who you are, and love who you are, and trust who you are. So it's not about becoming something that's lovable. It's actually realizing and recognizing that you are absolutely, completely lovable as you are, and you're okay. So it's a lot of it is not about working harder to become better. It's actually surrendering over the shame and starting with some self-acceptance and self-compassion, and not searching for other things to fill that void, but just stopping and seeing your worth and seeing your value.
Well, Bob, I want to just share a little bit of an experience with you that speaks to what Brandon was talking about here for just a second. Everyone who listens to the show knows that I'm in recovery myself from pornography addiction. And I remember a certain time in my life, Bob, where it was probably the lowest part of my entire life, where I had everything break loose on me. I was on the verge of losing everything. I was on the verge of losing my family, my wife, my kids. I'd been doing some things that weren't in line with my values. And I remember coming home one night and just collapsing on the front room floor of an empty house because my wife and my kids had gone, and just laying in this like pit of despair, that feeling of you're not enough and you're worthless. And I tried everything I could I could barely move. And I just said, hey, God, like, basically, God, if there is a God, like, help me. And I don't know why in that instance, but I had an experience where I was the least deserving of love that I thought I'd ever been. I wasn't performing well. I wasn't doing well at work. I wasn't doing well at home. I wasn't doing anything right. I deserved no love. I believed that. And in that moment, there was a feeling that came over me that was completely full of love that said, I love you. You're my son. And as such, like, you don't have to go perform into love. The fact that you're breathing, I mean, Bob, think about it for a second here. Like, take a breath right now, take a breath. And if you were to pause and take a deep breath and just notice that the fact that you just took a breath makes you a freaking miracle. You're a miracle just because you took a breath. And how often do we actually pause and say, I'm valuable just because I'm a living, breathing human being? And what Brandon's getting at here is that if we could surrender all of those other beliefs that I should be, 180 pounds with a six-pack, and I should be rich, and I should have everything else around me, it's like, no. If I can love myself because I'm simply worthy of love, if I could allow myself to just believe that I'm worthy of love because I'm a miracle, then it flips this whole equation inside out, and it moves us in a direction that allows you to then go and prove yourself right. Because right now, all you're doing is proving yourself right. You believe you're nothing, and you go and you show up and you play small and you end up with nothing. But if the belief system shifted, you'd be proving yourself right through and through in all these other areas of your life. And it would be possible. You would be 180 pounds with a six-pack, and that wouldn't make you lovable. It would just be the byproduct. So
to go along with that, Bob, I've heard a couple things that we've been talking. I have social anxiety, you said. Is that true that you have social anxiety?
Yeah, it's not extreme. It's just, it might be a part of the ADHD I suffer from, is where I'm an overactive thinker, and the anxiety comes from fear and wondering, does this person like me? Did I offend this person? Because I do that a lot just from being myself. I'm
okay.
Not the easiest person to get along with. So.
Okay, you just gave me another one. I'm not the easiest person to get along with. I have ADHD. I weigh 330 pounds. Not many girls actually like me. I always get friend zoned. Listen to these narratives. Now, some of this stuff is true. So, like, some of the stuff.
I want to interrupt you then. That was in high school that I got friend zoned a lot. That's not I'm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not happening. So that's not my concern.
So that's not your narrative anymore, right?
No.
You've shifted that narrative now when it comes to women.
Right.
Right. But
Right.
here's my question. With the ADHD, the social anxiety, maybe I'm hard to get along with people. I was homeschooled. Whatever it is, right? My question is Tyler said he was laying in an empty house, defeated because he felt like a complete failure.
Right.
Bob, was Tyler, was he a lovable human being in that moment?
Of course, he's a lovable human being.
He didn't feel that way. He had a lot of evidence, a ton of evidence that he wasn't.
Yeah.
And what I hear from you, Bob, is a lot of evidence. Do you see that?
Yeah. I'm just struggling with getting as a partner, a woman, to appreciate all these things that I am now and the changes that I have made, because I'm like he was talking about, I'm not that shallow person anymore that wants money or riches or, good looks or anything like that. I want someone to understand me and accept me for who I am.
I hear that you've done some work, like you have made some shifts.
The fact that I'm here is a result of that work.
Absolutely.
Sure thing.
But my question is you want somebody to love you, and this is so cliche.
Yeah.
But you know where you start to get somebody to love you?
Yeah, you gotta love yourself first.
There you go. That's so cliche.
Yeah.
But that's what we've gotten to today. It sounds like you're moving along. Like it sounds like you accept yourself more than you used to.
Oh yeah.
And it sounds
easily.
like, and Bob, it sounds like there's a ways to go still.
Yeah, there definitely is, and a lot of that is the sex addiction and the porn addiction is, well, not so much the porn, but it's just people are very sensitive and very touchy about certain things, and it's 2020 and things are a lot different than they used to be, and it's hard out there. I was looking through your podcast talking about, how do I talk to my wife about this, and how do I explain sex to my kids? But, I didn't see any, maybe I missed one, but I didn't see anything about, what is the single guy in today's world struggling with? So that's what I'm here to tell you is it's tough, man. It's really tough.
Yeah. Life is tough. Tyler, did you have a comment?
I was just going to say, of course it's tough, but Bob, as you've been listening to some of those other podcasts and things, I think you'll see that the principles that we're talking about today, they don't have to apply to a married or a single man. They apply to a human being. And I might just give a couple of suggestions here on next steps, because Brandon's right. I hear it. I hear that you're on a journey. I hear you're on a path. I actually hear you moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
But the pursuit of that relationship, I want you to want that. That's great. You should want that. Any single man is going to want that. The truth is that you're never actually going to have a chance of getting what you want unless you continue to walk the individual path that you're on right now. And I would suggest a couple of things. One is that before you go pursue those other avenues that you pursue every day, whether that's pornography or, something sexual or just chasing a woman in some way, you spend a few minutes each day in quiet reflection and ponder about your personal strengths and acknowledge what those strengths are. You take a few minutes every day and say, yeah, I'm in a tough spot. Like, it's hard to be in my 30s with a child and wanting a relationship, and that's a pretty lonely place to be. But you know what? That doesn't change my value as a human being, and I'm still worthy of love and belonging. And you practice with something we call self-compassion, which is to practice treating yourself the same way you would treat your best friend. And you practice it every day on purpose.
That's hard. I enjoy punching myself.
I know. And the more you punch yourself, the more you're going to continue to repeat history, and you're going to wonder why nobody wants to be with you. But if you were to treat yourself like you treat your best friend every day, I think that you'd move a little bit further down the path, and you get to a spot where you'd be attracting the kinds of women into your life who would want to be with the man who knows who he is.
Yeah.
And who can trust himself, because he doesn't have to be perfect. He can just be a work in progress that will continually be growing. And I think that's pretty much what every woman's going to want, is to be with a guy who's honest and lives with integrity and is constantly working on bettering himself, and who knows that he's worthy of love and belonging. And so practicing some self-compassion, and then Bob, I'd suggest you do a couple of activities each day that are specific towards whoever and whatever you want to become. Your hobbies, your interests, your passions. You continue that wrestle with God that you're having right now. And hopefully God wins eventually when you surrender yourself and say, you know what, somebody bigger than me knows who I am. And I think if you'll do those things consistently over time, you're not too far off from having some of the goals and dreams and hopes that you have.
Yeah, it's just these setbacks, like I said, when I've had 2 major setbacks this year, and it's just been hard to recover from them, and I should have worked towards rectifying them, but I let it go too long.
But give yourself some time to grieve, to go through a process of grieving with those. But what you don't want to do is have those turn into like feeding these identities and these narratives of shame. So the pain is real. What you've been through sucks, and there needs to be a process of grief. When you start using the porn and acting out with sex addiction, then it starts to really work on who you are, and that's where it then gets in the way of practicing this self-compassion and understanding of who you actually are. Bob, are you a bully? You bully people?
Not entirely. I was bullied, so sometimes it does come out of me, but I normally don't feel too good about it.
Yeah, so you don't come across as a mean guy to me. You come across as a very nice guy. And I think they get the golden rule wrong. Do unto others as you would have done to you. I think you need to do unto you as you would do unto others.
Oh.
Right. You need to look at you as you love others. You care deeply about others. Love yourself. Care deeply about you. And, what Tyler and I are talking about, we're just scratching the surface here. But you can definitely start just by noticing the self-deprecating thoughts and just letting those things go and replacing them with love, okay, and acceptance for yourself. Any last things, Tyler?
No, just wanted to say thank you to you, Bob. I know that the battle you're fighting is real. We have people in our life who are in similar situations to what you're dealing with, and that is a hard battle. You're not alone, bud. And just sometimes knowing that you're not alone is enough to continue on for another day. Hopefully you'll go back and listen to this episode. I don't even know if you were able to pick up everything, especially that Brandon was saying, but he said a lot of things that could be really, really helpful to you in the long run. So thank you for having the courage to come on with us today. You asked some really, really good questions, and we were really glad to have you, Bob.
Yeah. I hope this reaches those that need to hear it. Thank you for having me.
You are a courageous man, and we've talked a lot about your shame today, and you've stepped into courage, and you've done something good for a lot of people. So I sure appreciate you. So thanks for coming on, and hopefully this isn't the last time. Have a good day.
Talk to you later, Bob.
All right. God bless, guys.
Okay, we'll see you.
You guys, thank you for listening to us today. If this hit a nerve for you or somebody you know, please feel free to share it. And if you guys are liking what's going on here, give us some feedback. We want to make it better for you, and your feedback can come through your ratings and reviews. So thank you.
Yep. Awesome, guys. We'll see you.